Hello, welcome to Expansive Astrology Academy Taurus season. I am so excited that you're here with me. I'm so excited for this season. All of the medicine that this season brings. It really kind of blew me away as I was crafting all of this. So much so that I was never expecting to do 4 weeks worth of videos. And as it was, as Taurus season was telling me what it wanted to be, it's gonna be 4 weeks of videos. So I hope you're so ready to dive right in. This is your first week of Taurus season, your first week of Expansive Astrology Academy, and we're going to kind of set the foundation for what the whole season's going to look like for you. I'm going to give a pretty detailed introduction to Taurus and the medicine of Taurus. In fact, I should probably open my notes here just so that I have them. And then make sure to check out the little homework, the journaling prompts, the PDF that is attached for this week and every week. This week's PDF is going to include prompts to really help you set the stage and set the foundation for the whole next season. Each week's prompts will help transition into the next week. So check that out. Make sure to check it out. But for now, I hope that you're feeling so ready. I hope you're feeling really oriented. Hopefully you've gone through the orientation video and that homework, those prompts. I hope you're feeling really ready to be selfish and to explore and to dive into the medicine that this season can bring and the medicine that you can bring to your life using the themes of Taurus. So, let me start with a sip of water. And I spilled on myself just a little bit, but that's just on brand for me. We're diving right in. Make sure that at any time, if you have any questions or, additions, if you have any insight into the medicine that this is bringing, your own personal take on this, if you have, any celebrations or excitement that comes up as you're journaling, anything that you're working through, anything you want feedback on, I want to hear your whole process in the group, and that's what it's there for. So definitely, there's nothing off limits, anything that comes to mind as I'm speaking about this or anything that comes up as you're journaling, it's totally relevant in that group. Anything that you're currently working through in this stage of your life, it's welcome in the group. So I just want to set that expectation right off the bat. If you haven't introduced yourself to the group yet, what are you waiting for? Let's hop into it. Okay, so Taurus. Taurus is the second sign of the zodiac. And we move from Aries, which is the first sign of the zodiac, fire sign, into Taurus, which is an earth sign. So this is the first earth sign of the zodiac, and it does a good job of holding that responsibility. Talk about a stabilizing energy and a grounding energy. Taurus is steadfast, and it is it is earth energy. It is grounded and grounding. So a lot of what we're going to be looking at this month is our sense of security and our sense of foundation and being grounded where we are. This first earth sign of the zodiac is really, creating the foundation for everything else that's to come throughout the astrological year. So we want to really tune into and nurture and explore and evaluate our own sense of grounding, home, stability. If Aries is the newborn, because Aries is compared to the newborn because it bursts into the astrological year. It's the infant sign of the zodiac. That makes Taurus like the teetering little toddler, right? Probably like, I don't know, the exact age doesn't matter, but maybe 2-ish. And the first person I heard describe the zodiac, she compared the zodiac to like stages of infancy, was Lindsay Mack. I don't know if she first came up with it, but she's the first person I heard use that comparison. And so I want to attribute that to her because it's brilliant to consider the first sign of the zodiac, the newborn, the raw, bloody, screaming newborn, and then Taurus is like the teetering toddler. Taurus is figuring out like what this is all about. Aries comes in and takes the space. Aries comes in and makes space for itself. The fire comes in and creates space for itself. And then Taurus is here to kind of explore with that space and cultivate something from it that can be like long lasting and sustaining for us. Taurus is very interested in pleasure and pleasure and routine. And I think Taurus gets pleasure out of routine. The point is the stability though. So like whether or not, not everybody has to like thrive in routines, right? And it being in Taurus season right now doesn't mean that you need to develop routines and stuff. And Taurus might be really interested in that because routines can help you feel more secure. So Taurus rules the second house, and that's the house of possessions, making the phrase of Taurus, I have. So Taurus really explores the space that it has, the possessions, the things that we have, our resources, our innate abilities, like those are all things. It's really hard not to get ahead of myself. Like there's so much to come in the next 4 weeks. It's hard not to get ahead of myself. Gotta like rein it in just a little bit. So the house of possessions, we're going to be looking at specifically like what you have, both like tangibly, your possessions and your things, and like inherently within you. With Aries, we were looking a lot at like I am and what your identity is and the self. Here we're looking at what that brings to the table. Which can be kind of hard to tease apart, but like using Aries versus Taurus to do so is a really interesting lens to look at it through. So we've established like who you are and what you are. Now, what do you bring to the table? How do you cultivate that in the real world? The sign of Earth corresponds to the suit of pentacles in the tarot. I don't know what I was gonna say there, but it wasn't tarot. Sometimes your mouth just does things that like your brain didn't mean for it to do, right? Anyway, okay, get back to it. Earth corresponds to the suit of pentacles in the tarot, and the suit of pentacles is a lot about like earthly materials and like earthly matters and earthly things that are kind of mundane and that like the soul doesn't get very jazzed about. Things like the money that you bring in, what you do with your stuff, how you make a living, etc., etc. So Taurus is interested in those sorts of things. It's interested in, I think I said, cultivating pleasure for itself and cultivating what it already has and having more. I think it's also kind of cute to compare Taurus to, and this energy to, a toddler, because I just think of the way toddlers will collect things. Or if you try to take something from a toddler that the toddler wants, like good luck, right? Toddlers are steadfast, and toddlers like know what they want and are really good at getting and keeping what they want, or at least advocating for that or trying to get what they want, right? They will put up a fight, and they're really good at advocating for themselves in those ways. And I think Taurus is that way too. So Taurus is ruled by Venus, which is ruled by the tarot card, the Empress. And it's also ruled by, so those are those energies, and then Taurus is also ruled by the Hierophant. So as we go through those two cards, the Empress and the Hierophant will come up quite frequently. And the fourth week of Taurus season, we're going to dive really deep into what the Hierophant brings. I'll probably touch on the Empress that week too quite a bit, but mostly we're going to be talking about the Hierophant and honoring your own inner wisdom and being your own teacher, undoing some problematic or traumatic lessons that old teachers have done. It's going to be a really great week for feeling confident in your intuition, and it'll be a really great week for anybody who maybe grew up in an environment where they weren't allowed to question certain people, whether that be parents or teachers or like priests, pastors, things like that. Really big invitation with the Hierophant there. So Taurus is stabilizing. It's grounded. It harnesses the power of the material world to like get your soul where your soul wants to go and get your dreams, like have your dreams be realized. It's manifesting. It's generative. It's related to fertility, which we can see at least in the northern hemisphere with springtime. It's reflected in the springtime and fertility, the fertility of the earth, right? And then also Taurus, the animal for Taurus is the bull. And I think I read that the horns specifically of the bull like represent fertility. I think. It's a fixed sign, which means it knows what it wants. It means it's a little stubborn. The fixed signs, yeah, they're a little stubborn. They're a little unmoving, but it's because they know what they want. It's feminine energy. Now that does not mean girly or boobs. It means it means feminine, as opposed to like masculine energy. Let's see. So I have a quote from a woman named Chani Nicholas. It's from her book, You Were Born From That. So sorry, Chani. Her book is called You Were Born For This. You Were Born For This. Quote, well, Taurus develops security through stabilizing its resources and developing them into fertile fields from which it can provide much abundance. I love that. I'm going to say it one more time. Taurus develops security through stabilizing its resources, which speaks to the fixed aspect of the sign, security and stabilizing. So Taurus develops security through stabilizing its resources and developing them into fertile fields from which it can provide much abundance, which speaks to like the pentacles or earth energy of the sign Taurus. I love that quote. I think it really encaptures what Taurus can bring and what you can bring to your own world, like using the inspiration of Taurus. How can you develop security through stabilizing your resources and developing them into fertile fields from which they can provide abundance? How can you provide abundance for yourself? And let me stop here and define abundance not as like money coming in, but as like an overflow of like everything. Abundance can mean different things to different people, right? But I think here we're specifically talking money, an abundance of money, but also an abundance of like security and stability, an abundance of happiness, an abundance of time and space for yourself and your family, an abundance of comfort, an abundance of fun and like giggles. Like, what do you want an abundance of, and how can you really be creating that for yourself? So we're going to talk a little bit about the empowered like energy of Taurus versus the disempowered energy of Taurus. When we're sitting in a really positive and effective, like helpful side of Taurus versus when we're sitting in the very, ineffective, shadowy side of Taurus. Here's how you know, okay? The empowered energy of Taurus it shines the most, This Taurus energy shines the most when it is able to steady itself and use that power of stabilizing and steadying and building with the resources that are already there. And what's so fun and like just reminds me of how divine all of this timing always is that this last full moon, which was during Aries season, and the full moon happened in the sign of Libra. The full moon was inviting us to really assess what our attributes are, what our inner traits are, like what we have to bring to the table. That full moon in Libra was a subtle invitation to look at that. And then now in Taurus, we're really diving in and we're really like ripping that open and taking a peek into that. So I just love the divine timing of that and how like we got a little hint of that a couple weeks ago. And now it's time to really dive in. And then the new moon in Taurus is going to happen soon. And we're going to be really diving in and inviting in this. Okay, so let me hop back in. Empowered Taurus is generous, resourceful, relaxed, and like luxuriating. Remember, it's ruled by the planet Venus, and Venus is all about love and beauty and pleasure, sex kind of. So Taurus is really good at luxuriating in abundance and overflow of time and money and space and comfort. Yes. Taurus is strong. It's creative, nourishing, stable, loyal. It has an eye for beauty. It's confident and self-assured. It's an expert at fostering love and security. Not unlike Cancer. Similar to Cancer, although Cancer is a water sign. So it brings a different... Cancer brings a different version of that, and they're both really good at fostering love and security, somewhat focused on family, and doesn't have to be mostly like security. Again, like that's gonna be the theme. So explore that for yourself. Explore some of those themes. How are you steady? How are you generous, resourceful? How do you how good are you at luxuriating? That can be like a triggering word for some people or a triggering thing. I think a lot of people compare luxury to either laziness, right? If you're luxuriating too long, you're lazy, or like snottiness, like people with, I don't know, people maybe view people who have a lot of time and luxuries as like the filthy rich, right? So what is your relationship like with luxury? What is your relationship like with stability? And I think one of the most tricky traits of Taurus is its ability to be self-assured. Because that can both be a very empowering trait, and then there can be like a somewhat disempowered version of being like too self-assured, or I guess that would be like very stubborn or rigid, right? So how are you with like your sense of confidence? How does Taurus show up for you in your sense of confidence, or like how do you relate with that energy of like steadfast confidence? And this is what I know, this is what I bring to the table, this is how I like create my world. Do you have confidence in that, or are you easily swayed? And again, or maybe not again, but remind yourself that none of this is good or bad, right? Like if you're if you are easily swayed, if you're not so steadfast and confident, that doesn't necessarily mean that you have some sort of deficit, unless it means that you feel like you have some sort of deficit, right? Like only you can tell me, or only you can decide whether or not this stuff is like a problem for you. But anytime I compare, like, or anytime I pose a question like that, like, are you pretty self-assured in the way that you run your life, or do you get a lot of opinions? I'm not saying one is better than the other. It's just something for you to consider, and what feels most empowered for you. Does it feel most empowered for you to get the opinions of your loved ones before you make a decision? Then good. Why would I ever suggest that you change that? If that feels disempowered though, and if you wish you could be a little more steadfast, this is what Taurus is inviting you to check out. I hope that makes sense. So moving into how Taurus might show up in a very disempowered way, this would be like being very rigid or very stubborn, being very possessive, or perhaps like so focused on stability and routine and what you know and what you firmly believe in, but maybe being so focused on those things that you don't see alternatives, or let's see, Taurus wants us to cultivate a sense of security for ourselves, and security and safety is like imperative to our happiness and health, of course. And you've also kind of got to be okay with things being up in the air, or you've got to be okay when things maybe aren't feeling so stable for you. So Taurus invites us to explore, like, am I so like possessive and rigid and steadfast in some of my routines and some of what I want, that I am incapable of experiencing comfort or happiness otherwise? You have to have a really good balance between cultivating comfort and stability for yourself, and also cultivating comfort in times of unrest or like discomfort. It's about a balance. Like you can't, or you don't, how do I want to say this? It probably wouldn't be very fun or helpful if you only felt secure and happy and comfortable if you were at home, right? You want to increase your tolerance and increase your sense of safety and stability for even if you were displaced from your home, or even if you're, on vacation in a hotel. Like, do you completely kind of lose it if you're not completely in control of everything? Can you work on that a little bit? Again, I think I'm kind of hesitating, or I'm not being as like straightforward about this as I want to, because I don't want anything to sound like nothing is good or bad, right? That's a rule here. Nothing is good or bad. So like if you do kind of freak out when you leave home and you're not completely in control, that's fine. Maybe it's not like no judgment. And can you cultivate a sense of security and stability within yourself, so that when things don't feel so stable and secure outside of yourself, you still have that within? Does that make sense? I hope that makes sense. You don't want to be so focused and fixated on stability that you can't handle when things get turned upside down, because shit gets turned upside down all the time, right? Life is crazy and it's not always stable. Okay, I hope that makes sense. So Taurus, also disempowered, is very defensive, super bossy, kind of like rushing, like impatient with other people, stuck in their ways, really like kind of like they've got blinders on. They can only see what's right in front of them, kind of, or they can only see their method of things. Or not they, but this energy of Taurus. Taurus can be kind of codependent, kind of needy. It can also be really self-indulgent, which again can be an empowered energy of Taurus. To be very self-indulgent and like luxuriating can be positive and empowered, or being self-indulgent can be disempowered. It's all for you to decide. let's see. It's also important to really remind yourself and consider that this energy, this kind of stable, loyal, fixed energy, can be disempowered in that it'll stay in situations or relationships that are bad, or I broke my own rule, we're not supposed to use those words, but truly like that need to stay in the same patterns or ruts or stay in what Taurus knows can keep it in negative patterns, negative relationships, situations that aren't, healthy and nourishing. So are there any patterns or relationships or just situations in general that you are only hanging on to out of like being stubborn or out of fear of change, out of fear of shaking up your sense of stability? That's a really big question. I hear from clients all the time things like, shit, if I were to actually look at the way that people are treating me, and if I were to actually start standing up for myself, like all the people around me wouldn't make the cut. It's a really common fear. And if that's the case, if the situations or people around you aren't actually serving an actual like nurturing and pleasurable and nourishing sense of foundation and stability, don't hang out in that situation just for this false sense of security. Maybe journal on that. I might add it. Manage a false sense of security. Where do you feel a sense of security that or just in general, where do you feel a sense of security? How do you feel a sense of security? And how do you know whether that's actually secure? Like a lot of us will feel very secure in a job or something, or we'll feel very secure in a relationship, and then you find out he has a secret family in Tulsa. Sorry, just kidding. But security is in a lot of ways an illusion. Hate to break it to you. And next week we'll talk a lot about control and safety and security in general, and how to handle the fact that security is actually an illusion in the end. And in the meantime, how does that sit with you? Like, how does it feel to hear, like, oh, fuck, like, all of these ways that I feel secure, like, I have an income, and I have a stable partner, and I have a home and stuff, like, yes, hopefully all of those things are secure for you, and, like, in the grand scheme of things, actually, it's not, you don't actually have any control. See, I'm trying to beat around the bush. We just gotta get to it, baby. You don't have any control over anything. IRL, in real life, you don't have any control over anything. And Taurus would hate to hear that. So it's about, I think that this work is about developing a healthy balance between like really honoring what you do control and honoring what you do have and honoring where you can like strengthen your sense of foundation for yourself, while also creating a relationship with change and flow and like the unknown that is positive, and that, having a sense of control, realistic control over what you can control, while also having a tolerance and a knowledge that you don't actually have control over all that stuff. It's kind of a mind fuck, and we've got 4 weeks to hop into it and really explore it. Sorry. And like dive into it, really look at it with a magnifying glass and a flashlight, and like poke and prod at this idea of security and control, and like it also kind of gets even deeper than that, and we're almost talking about like fate versus free will. Like this shit, Taurus brings big invitations to explore and expand and increase our sense of comfort, both in, again, what we can control and like creating comfort, literally like buying extra fuzzy blankets if we want to. And then also really like, I don't want to say surrendering, because that's not what like an earth sign is all about. We're here to like stake our claim. But staking our claim in a way that we're also flexible enough. Like you don't want to dive into that fixed, stubborn energy too much, because I think oftentimes we fall into defensiveness or stubbornness or like a need for security, or we fall into those disempowered emotions or habits like defensiveness or stubbornness. We fall into that because we really need to experience a sense of security. And let's honor that. Like, yes, let's create security in your life, but also in a way that's not disempowered. You don't need to be stubborn in order to feel secure. But you do need to be steadfast and sure and, an advocate for yourself and able to assert yourself, right? It's all about juggling what is empowered and what feels disempowered. How are you approaching the world that feels like you're in charge, and how are you approaching the world that feels like you're just defending yourself and trying to like make a name or make a, stake a claim for this space? Are you grasping for that, or are you creating it? We're going to figure out how you can just kind of create it and foster it rather than desperately grasping for it. So I have one more quote for you. This is from a man named Roy Gillette. Says, in Taurus, we stop, take stock, consolidate, and create something of real and lasting beauty. As opposed to Aries, which like comes in and like is just reckless fire and like takes space like recklessly and like makes itself known all over the place. Taurus kind of gathers everything up and really takes stock of it and is in charge. Yes. So I want to leave you with the mantra for this week. And, this is just a suggestion. Take this mantra and, tweak it to whatever feels best for you. And I really suggest experimenting with a mantra like this for a whole week to see what comes up for you and how it helps inform the rest of this work and like your week in general. So the mantra for this week is, I possess all that I need, or I have all that I need, or some version of that. Because remember, the energy of Taurus is I have. So we really want to start to cultivate an eye for like, ooh, what do I have? Literally and figuratively. What do you have in this world? Okay. We're still kind of broad. I feel like, yeah, we're still pretty broad, both with this lesson and with what the like journaling homework prompts are. And as the weeks go on, we're just gonna get like narrower and narrower and deeper and deeper and deeper. Especially next week. Like we dive way in next week. So let me know how you're doing. I will see you for the new moon. Welcome to Taurus season. Don't hesitate to reach out. I am so honored, so blessed, so glad that you're here, and I can't wait to see what you do with your life this season. It's a big season, y'all. Okay, I'll see you later.